There probably isn't much I could tell you about Victor Wembanyama that you haven't already heard. What I'm about to share, however, shows just how incredible of a player he is. I will also share what the Warriors did in this situation that could be applied to similar players. The problem is, there is only one Victor Wembanyama. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Switch Culture. The Warriors finished up their preseason with their final game against the San Antonio Spurs. While the Spurs ended up winning the matchup, what's more interesting, however, is how it actually went. Coach Popovich, known for having a great development program for bigs from the Tim Duncan years, not to mention coaching David Robinson for over half his career, with this reputation, it was only right that a unique player such as Wembanyama gets selected by the Spurs organization. Due to his skill set at 7'4", Vic plays the power forward position instead of the center. As a matter of fact, Vic can and does play all 5 positions on the floor. This provides a huge benefit for the Spurs, as he does everything. This matchup with the Warriors is interesting for a number of reasons. The first being that the Warriors are an overall very small team, while the Spurs are, well, not. This made things interesting from the jump. Literally. Neither team used their center for the opening tip. As if it wasn't bad enough, Wembanyama seemed unstoppable on one end of the floor and impassable on the other. The starting lineup was running out of options quick, while the Spurs rookie was running up the deficit quicker than Joe Biden in a Ukrainian government meeting. The Warriors needed to act fast and figure out a strategy to counter Wembanyama. Eventually, they did, but it wasn't before Vic made a name for himself inside Chase Center. While the Spurs aren't a threat to the Warriors' title hopes, last night's game definitely pointed out some deficiencies as well as some hope for the Warriors when going up against skilled, bigger opponents. This will be pretty interesting to dissect, but before that, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content. So without further delay, let's get to it. The Warriors went into the game with a starting lineup of CP3, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Loon. With Draymond out of the lineup, this is what you'll see from the Warriors until he's back from injury. That's 6 foot, 6'3", 6'6", 6'7", and 6'9". The Spurs countered with 6'5", 6'5", 6'8", 7'4", and 7 foot. So the humans versus space aliens. With Wemby tipping off, the much smaller Warriors team knew that it really didn't matter who they used. It would be futile. So they went with the ace up their sleeve, Wardell Stephen Curry II. I don't need to tell you who won the tip, but we'll get to Victor in a bit. Klay Thompson continues to struggle. At first it seemed his shot was back, however he ended the night with 9 points, going 2 for 8 from distance, and 3 for 13 from 3. His shot does look better, but Victor was blocking everything in a 40-foot radius. If you've ever heard of the Iron Dome, I imagine last night's game is what it would look like, if it actually worked. Free Palestine. This wouldn't be the first slow start Klay Thompson has had to the season, but Steve Kerr expressed confidence in the work Klay did over the off-season. Do you remember when Steve Kerr said that Klay Thompson would guard opposing teams' power forwards? Well, not this 4, or 3, or 2, or even 1. Even centers are struggling to guard the kid, so what do you expect Klay to do? The season hasn't started yet though, so no love lost. Let's see what happens during the season. One very interesting development is that the chemistry between Chris Paul and Steph Curry is very much like that between Steph and Dre. CP3 knows just where to find Steph and doesn't often call his own number as much as he tries to get Steph Curry in his spots and feed him open. That is, CP3 is in a very Draymond-esque role, minus the ability to defend 3 through 5, but makes up for it with above average shooting from distance and lethal mid-range. From midway through the third quarter, Steve Kerr handed the reins over to the young players. Last night it was Moses Moody that was playing at a high level. With 18 points, 8 rebounds, and hitting 4 of 6 from deep, This type of energy and effort from Moody will be very useful throughout the season and into the playoffs if he manages to maintain his shooting efficiency above 38%. Moody would definitely be a starter on these Spurs, as he was clearly well above their bench in production, poise, and just about any other non-statistical category you would want your players to excel in. In short, he flat out plays winning basketball. Another interesting thing I noticed was that Jonathan Kuminga was scoring effortlessly. He's not just scoring with his speed and power, but he's using patience and skill as well, almost as if he's taking a few pages out of Looney's book. Overall, he looked more like a veteran out there on the floor, more aware of the spacing on the floor and getting better in terms of not fouling guys, especially inside the painted area. He's doing a great job of maintaining verticality and shows no signs of regressing whatsoever. He finished with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and the most important box stat for the night with 5 assists in just 21 minutes. With the last preseason game in the books, expect a big leap for Kuminga this year, barring any minutes restriction. Now, I know some of you didn't just come here to hear a one-sided story. This is what you came here for. The impact wasn't immediate, but after he warmed up for a few minutes, Victor went absolutely ballistic. Watching Wembanyama on the basketball court versus the Warriors was like watching a grown man playing basketball with kids. The question wasn't whether or not you could make the shot, it was whether or not he allowed you to. The question wasn't whether or not he could make the shot, it was, what shot does Wembanyama feel like taking? It is absolutely ridiculous that someone this tall is this skilled with a 9-inch ball in his hand. It doesn't matter who else was on the floor because the first quarter went to Victor. Like I said, there's only one. That a grown man at 6'2" standing in front of you might as well not be there as you go up and Wembanyama one into the basket. This is what it was like watching Victor Wembanyama. He racked up 12 points on 5 of 9 shots from the field to go along with 2 blocks in just the first 7.5 minutes. The hype coming into the NBA for Wembanyama is as real as it gets. By the end of the night, however, the Warriors had him figured out. The Golden State Warriors by pace tied the San Antonio Spurs last year for the top spot. No other team moved the ball up and down the floor as quickly. What the Dubs realized was that after a few relentless back and forth sprints, the Spurs big man was absolutely spent. He had nothing left in the tank. Wemby was tough to score on, but even harder to guard. However, one lethal tactic the Warriors utilized was to increase the pace of the game, something ridiculous for a team with the average age of Golden State. But that wasn't all. The young Spurs team likes to run, and as the Warriors forced them to play a fast-paced game, this made it more difficult for Wembanyama to keep up as well, and it also kept him out of the play altogether. There were instances where the Warriors had Victor Wembanyama doing cardio, going up the floor without touches, which really put the brakes on his production in the latter part of the game. While this might not work as well with more experienced teams, they were able to stop Victor from doing any more damage. When you think about the size difference, if he was allowed, Wembanyama could have put up a lot more than 19 points. But the Dub strategy proved to be very effective. One side effect is that this could improve the productivity of the supporting role players. However, top-heavy teams would be much more susceptible to this type of approach. He finished the night with 19 points, 5 blocks, 4 rebounds, and a +11 in 21 minutes on the floor. Let me know what you guys think of the matchup with Wembanyama. How long till he becomes a superstar in the league? I personally think he's ready for showtime, and if this preseason is any indication, they might as well start printing his all-star jersey. Post your thoughts in the comments below, but before that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish!